Are you a veteran that's looking to buy a house, maybe even refinance, and have a lot of questions about how the process goes and who you should be working with? Is it a bank? Is it a credit union? Is it Veterans United? We've got the answers for you. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hunter Bowling here with the HV Mortgage team powered by Edge Home Finance. And I am ecstatic to have a colleague of mine, a teammate of mine, prior military veteran as an army in the army, correct?
That's correct. Thanks for having me, Hunter. Yep. Prior military, served in the Army as a air defense artillery officer, and now serving veterans to help them with their home purchases.
Love it, man. Jacob Studdard, y'all. This guy it's literally in the name. He is a stud. Excited to have him be a part of it. Jacob, really what I want to touch on this video is veterans. You and I both love helping veterans get into homes, invest in real estate, especially Texas real estate. 40,000 people bought homes last year. Veterans bought homes last year with their VA home loan. Number one state for VA deals. So, let's touch on a couple things. One, I want to touch on the real estate side with the realtors, right? How realtors can grow their business, how they can continue to expand, helping more veterans, and then also the veteran themselves buying a house. So let's jump right in. First off, we appreciate your service and excited to have you on. Tell me a little bit about your background in mortgage lending now. It's been a couple years. So start to finish, give me a brief breakdown of where you started and why you're at Edge now.
Yeah, for sure. So I started getting into the mortgage industry directly after my transition out of the military. Um, I used my home loan while my VA home loan while I was deployed, and the process was good. I started to do more research on it on my end because it was a little bit rocky. Overall, it was a good process, but I wanted to understand more of like actually what was going on behind the scenes and how we were able to get it done. So, and kind of one of the things that was kind of hitting me near and dear was I knew what we had wasn't the best rate. I knew what we had was a little bit higher fees than I was comfortable with charging veterans for our services, and
Yeah.
understanding that there were different options out there and some of them played more beneficially for them. And so I started to have a little bit more of a guilty conscience in serving our veterans, because at the end of the day, yes, the goal is to get them in the house, but at the same time, you want to go a step further in serving them to get them the best rate possible, or at least one of the best rates possible out there,
Yeah.
and also save them as much as you can out of pocket, just kind of as uh, a giving back mentality, the selfless service mentality that's ingrained in us in the military, to give back to them as much as possible.
Yeah.
So with all of that, Hunter had actually reached out to me and noticed that I did a lot of VA loans. Being a veteran myself, I had that connection established, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to help veterans even further rather than just getting them into their house?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. What does that look like?" And he went to explain the difference is on the retail side versus the broker side, and how the broker side provides a lot more flexibility and enables us as loan officers, but as a veteran, and Hunter is a veteran spouse as well, so he understands this too, to actually serve them in the best way possible. So the broker side definitely opened that opportunity and provided that flexibility for sure.
Yeah, Jacob, I completely agree with you. Everything that you kind of said is a big piece, right? For those of you who don't know, I was in retail lending for 4.5 years before moving to the broker side, almost 3 years now, which is really hard to believe how fast time goes. And you touched on it perfectly. The biggest piece is having a guilty conscience. And that is a big piece. And people go, well, how and why? Why are we all so much cheaper? And one of the big pieces that I do want to touch on, most importantly, is this right here. This is a great example of what we discuss in our classes that we teach, you and I taught one a couple of months ago down there in the clean market was here's your retail lending, right? Here's your overhead, your loan officer compensation, underwriting fee, corporate pay, VP, branch manager, building, and then you have wholesale, right? You've got the whole fee stacked up for these borrowers and these veterans, right? This isn't just VA deals. This is VA deals across, or this is all deals across the board. And you come on the broker side and you actually just look at the comparison. There is no overhead. Now, there are overhead with brokers. There are certain brokers that are out there that do have overhead. Okay, so be very cautious. But with what we are at Edge Home Finance a true broker. We don't have a line of credit in house. No, we do not have a secondary marketing team that controls rates in any way. Every loan officer has the exact same compensation plan from bottom to top. Doesn't matter what you do. And so as an originator, right, there's a reason why so many people continue to be able to move to this side and continue to say, hey, the broker side's growing. We grew 5% in market share last year. There's a reason for it. People are answering, right? So I love how you touched on that. And like you said, one of the biggest pieces for a real estate agent is buying power, right? We're giving you an opportunity to increase the buying power of these veterans. Um, you know, let's just touch on property tax real quick in Texas, right? So we work with 140 different mortgage lenders. You know that. Out of those 140, if you have a 100% disabled veteran, how many lenders off the top of your head can you think of that actually take 100% property tax and no hit to their debt to income ratio?
All the ones that I've worked with have allowed it. I would say 140. I haven't used all 140, haven't needed it, but at least a few dozen that I've used at this point or looked into absolutely do not include property taxes for 100% disabled veterans within their debt to income. So definitely more affordability.
It is. I mean, that alone is big, right? Then in one of the sales pitches or sales pitches that loan officers have is, well, I have low rates. I have low. Sure, everybody can have low rates, right? And you and I talked about this actually yesterday. Every lender can close on time. And for a
Mhm.
loan officer to say, oh, that lender can't close on time. Now, there are a few that are notorious for not closing on time, but they wouldn't be in business. If they just did it every time, right? And so one of the big pieces that we want to touch on is really bringing to life the power of what a broker brings to the table for a veteran, right? You do get naturally lower rates and fees, right? If you decrease fees by $2,000 or $3,000, let's touch on your fees, right? One of the very first deals you and I looked at before you made the move over, I believe your lender fees in total, including underwriting processing fees,
Yeah,
um,
it
there was
was
something else in there, but it
with
was
the with
$2,890. And I will never forget that number. And the reason why is you and I looked at it and I was like, I was shocked. And I believe at the time we on the broker side, same deal, we were 0.5% lower in rate if the client spent the same amount of money.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, it
It,
was for the underwriting processing and the discount points to get the rate that I was in was still a half a point higher and therefore $2,800 more expensive for a half a point higher than what Hunter was able to offer those same clients if my clients were to use Edge Home Finance as their broker partner to help them purchase that home, which was it blew me away.
No,
I was
totally.
sold.
And that's a big piece, right? It also gives you confidence in what you believe in you're selling is the best thing. Now, there's lending partners that we work with that have the lowest rates on the planet, and I'm gonna be dead honest truthful. I will give the option to the client, but I will tell them 100% of the time I would never do my own personal loan there. If I'm not gonna do my loan there, I'm not gonna do your loan there unless you really want me to, right? So we give that option of saying, hey, where's rates, where's fees, where's those things to these different lenders that we work with. But arguably, our top 5 or 6 lenders are in the top 5 or 6 in rates pretty consistently.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
so when you bring the process into that side of it too, it just brings it brings life to a transaction. I think that's my opinion is the best way to say it. Mortgage lending is god awful boring. And I tell people if you read guidelines every day or think about mortgage lending every day, you're probably either depressed or you're crazy. And that's why you and I are in this job because we're both a little crazy. So,
A little bit.
really, one of the things what I'd love for you to touch on is how has your real estate partners flourished after moving to Edge and seeing really what the broker side is all about.
Yeah. So one of the top main things that they've seen is one, communication, and I think mostly it comes down to the quality of loan officer. I think that's pretty standard in the industry. But with that, the flexibility that they noticed, from which I could, start the loan process with one specific lender and am able to move that same file with no fees or charge to the veteran and close on time to get them a lower rate, and however the market is fluctuating, right? So the volatility, so that flexibility from going from one lender to the next lender with no charge or fees to the veteran
Right.
or client in general, and still being able to meet those closing dates. That was one of the biggest things that they really appreciated and were kind of blown away by.
It's also, and just to stop you there, and I don't mean to stop you, but it's transparency in the
Hmm.
process, right?
Exactly.
This retail branch could have much higher fees or differences with the same exact company than a retail branch that's 10 or 15 minutes down the road, right? There isn't transparency. That's correspondent lending in a nutshell, right? So you start looking at those things, those overrides, they're going somewhere and someone's pocketing it. On the wholesale
That,
side, you cut that out, right? You
yep.
cut it out completely.
Exactly. And also what you're cutting out is you're cutting out all the people that your buyers are technically paying their salaries or their pay stubs for things that don't really pertain to their specific transaction. So you had a whole bunch of hands in the pot that had nothing to do with my buyer and my real estate buyer client.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the reason why those rates are higher and those fees are higher is because the buyer is paying for those people who aren't really involved in the process, to have a check, some sort of income. And I just didn't think it was fair. So,
Things have to get paid somehow, right? And that's a big piece. I mean, not to call it a specific mortgage company, but if they're all over TV and all over billboards and all over professional sporting stadiums, where do you think those funds are getting paid from? It's as simple as that. They're
mhm,
making money by charging someone somewhere, point blank,
that's it.
right?
That's it.
And that's it. It's getting past the consumer. And so now there are things on the wholesale side too that are very similar, right? So I'm not going to dig too deep on that, but
Mhm.
when I can still go to a lender who is significantly lower than the opposite side, who may be still benefiting veterans and our broker partners, and it's cheaper, tell me how that's still not better for the client, right? 100% of the time. So I love that you touched on it, man. It's a great point. And one of the things that I'd like touching on with VA loans is the power of the VA loan, and people truly realizing, was it 13.1%? I think of veterans actually use their VA home loan, or 13.4. It's around that figure.
Mhm.
You're talking about over 80% of the veterans not using the best tool at their disposal to help them buy real estate. It's
Yeah.
massive, massive. And so we have to do a better job of helping our real estate partners. So if you're a realtor out there, please reach out to us. You want to
Mhm.
grow your business and help veterans and understand how to help do it in a better place. We're here to help do that. So please reach out to Jacob or I both. We are here to guide you on that. Um, One thing I'd like to touch on is, no veteran goes left behind is a saying that I like to have, because when a lender tells you that they have overlays, okay, let's touch on overlays really quick. Overlays are lender specific guidelines, not what a VA guideline is. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's a perfect example of that is FICO score. You know, um, at Edge, what's been an experience for you on that? I mean, going from where you were at minimum FICO score to now.
Yeah. So getting rid of those overlays that required a minimum FICO score on the VA loan, what I was able to do was expand the amount of veterans we were able to serve, or
Mhm.
at least have the opportunity to serve, because the VA guidelines, there isn't technically a minimum credit score. So
Right.
those that do state that there is a specific credit score that is needed in order to qualify, purely just to even get your foot in the door, a specific lender overlay. That's their guideline, not the VA guideline. So with that, obviously it opens the door to a lot more veterans, which in turn, the more buyers you're able to serve, the more real estate agents that are also able to expand their clientele and ultimately serve buyers and get deals closed on their end too.
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean come in, 500 FICO and try to get it. It's like, try to get a house. It's like, listen, it might be doable with us, right?
Mhm.
But we still want to put you in the best financial position possible, right? Maybe we try to say, hey, let's build out a financial plan for you. Let's decrease some of that debt that you have that's causing that FICO score to be low and help you prepare for long-term success of buying real estate. Um, but it's like you said, it's actually having the capability to help. I had a sweet family 2 months ago that could not buy a house anywhere because of their FICO score, but they've had no late payments in several years. They've had crazy circumstances, but they were qualified otherwise, and we were able to get them to a home. I mean, the tears to be able to help, and they were actually an active duty family. And so that's a big
Crazy.
piece, man. If you're a veteran out there and you're like, I need to figure out how to buy a house, or I want to, or if you're active duty, you're like, hey, I'm PCSing, or I'm on base, thinking about PCSing. Let's look at your options now. We are here. Our team at Edge is licensed, and I think in like 44 states now, going to be all 50, hopefully by the end of this year. We are here to help. So don't hesitate to reach out if you're a veteran. Um, Jacob, brother, hey, it's always great having you. And I appreciate you jumping into this with me. So if you are a veteran out there, have questions, give Jacob or I a call. If you're a loan officer, give us a call too, or a realtor. We are here to help assist you. Jacob, thanks for jumping on today, brother. I
Awesome.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Hunter. Take care and thanks for everything you do to help our fellow veterans get into homes and for all those that you've served towards home ownership. So I truly appreciate you and everything that you do.
Absolutely, brother. That's what we're here for. And hope everybody has a great day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Stay tuned for more videos that are going to be coming soon.